Welcome to GATE XAML. In this video, we'll understand few more rules, the last three rules. Recursive relationship, how will you map? Then we'll see the weak entity sets and then the N-ary relationship. Okay. So how will you map the recursive relationship to relational model? So already know the concept of recursive relationship, that is unary. There will be only one entity set, and then one entity set participates in relationship with itself. So here only thing is the cardinality applies for 1:1, 1:n or n:1, and then many to many. How you have to map? So if it is 1:1, so this is a different case. Adding a self-referencing foreign key in the entity table with a unique constraint. So this is mandatory. You will have only one table, and then that foreign key what you add will be the primary key of the table itself, and then that should be made as unique. Once you see the example, understand. If it is 1:n or n:1, add a self-referencing foreign key in the same table. Example, manager ID in an employee table. So all are self-referencing. Self-referencing means what? In the same primary key is acting as the foreign key as well. Okay. For n:n, the rule changes, but to create a separate relationship table with two foreign keys referencing the same entity table's primary key. So you'll understand why. So let's take an example. It is recursive relationship with 1:1, that is 1 and 1. Person is married to a person. Okay. So it's a recursive relationship. So it for 1:1, so the whatever you create the relationship, so only one relation table you will create, that is person, and person ID is the primary key. As name, age is not a derived attribute here. Okay. Now what you have to do is for 1:1, you have to add, say, the spouse ID. Spouse can be the husband or wife. Okay, let us create one more spouse ID. Okay, this is the foreign key. This is self-referencing, means what? This is referring to the same person. That means what? A person, one person is married to another person. So there is only one table. So this person ID give which person, his name and age, and married to the ID of the person. Again, it is also a person ID referring to this. Okay, this is a foreign key. That means what? If I have data, say Anil, sorry, ID 1, person ID 1, name say Anil, age 25. Say if I say spouse ID is 5. Okay, this should exist, foreign key. So that means what? Somewhere 5, there is some person. Okay, say Kavita 25. Okay, so here what will come again? 1 will come. So that is the meaning. Self-referencing foreign keys. And then definitely for 1:1, this should be unique constraint. Okay, this should have unique because it is 1:1. So at most 1. So if the person is not married, then I can put the null value. Person is not married, I will put the null value. So in database, unique allows one or more null values based on your database system. Now if it is 1:n, so here employee manages employee. So there are set of employees in a company, and then some of the employees acts as the manager. See, manager is also a employee of the company. So in the employee table, I will create employee ID is a primary key, name, and then salary of the employee. Now 1:n, what it means? One employee acts as a manager to many of the employees, so they become subordinate. So this side the role is manager, this side the role is subordinate. So that is the meaning. So what I should do here for this, I create one more attribute, manager ID. So this is the self-referencing foreign key. It refers to this primary key. That means what? Employee 1, say name X, salary sum Y, his manager ID is say 5. That means what? There is an employee with employee ID 5, say A, B, who owns this person. Okay, who is the boss or the manager of this employee? That is the meaning. So here there is no unique constraint here because it is one to many. So here this person may have some other person as the manager, or he may not have any person as the manager also, or some value, whatever it is. And that value, if it exists, it should be the employee ID in this column. Okay. Next, if it is many to many, M is to N, that means many employees are mentored by many mentors. Okay, employees are acting as mentors and mentees, okay, who are mentored by some of the employees. So here, if it is M is to N, always when you convert ER diagrams with M is to N, okay, cardinality, you always create a separate table for the relationship. In the previous rule 7, you also have seen the same thing. So first one, you create employee table as it is. So he has employee ID as the primary key, name, department. Now, since it is many to many, I have to create new table, say mentors. Create new table mentors. So mentors should have two things here. If you observe the rule carefully, one should be two foreign keys I should put referencing the same entity table's primary key. So here mentors, say one is mentor ID, who is acting as the mentor. Another will be mentee, it is who is being mentored by. Okay. Mentee ID. So these together will act as the primary key, and there is a descriptive attribute since here. We'll add this here. Now this will, both will be referring to the same primary key of this. So this is how it is done. So why it is done like this? The employee is acting as mentor as well as mentee. That means one employee as a mentor can have many mentees. Okay, many mentees can have many mentors. So that is the thing. So both should be there. Next rule, mapping weak entity sets. So weak entity set is straightforward. So a weak entity set lacks the complete primary key. So it depends on owner entity. You already know the concept. So it has only partial key. It is linked to via an identifying relationship, always 1 is to n and total participation. You also know this concept. So it is 1 is to n side on the weak entity set, and weak entity set will always have the total participation. So participation is always total. So foreign key location where it will go into weak entity table, and foreign key must have not null constraint because it is a dependent. Someone has to be there. The primary key of the owner should be there. So the foreign key cannot be null. So how will you map? Create a table for the weak entity set including all its attributes. Add the owner's primary key as foreign key in the weak entity table. The weak entity's primary key is the combination of owner's primary key and its own discriminator or partial key. So let us see a simple example. So first, the strong entity, we will always create a separate table for it. So this has employee ID and name. Then you create dependent. Dependent is the weak entity set, and it has the dependent name, maybe the partial key. Now, what they say is, so here this employee ID is the one which identifies as dependent, right? So employee ID, comma, dependent name, comma, age. Now these two together will act as the primary key, and this is referring to this employee ID. This is the foreign key, and this should not be not null. Okay, so not null. So some dependents, all dependents should have one of the employee taking care of it. So employee ID. Next. How will you map N-ary relationship? So whatever you have seen till now is binary, only two entity sets participating. Now if you have more than two entity sets, how will you do it? So create standard tables for all participating entity set. If there are three entities, for example, create three separate tables for each entity set, strong entities. Create a new relationship table R. Okay. So if there are three entity sets and one relationship, so it is ternary. Okay. So we'll have total 4 tables. Add the primary keys of all participating entities into table R as the foreign key. Okay. So in the table, for the relation table what you create, you add primary keys of all these entities. Define the primary key of R as the combination or composite key of the all these foreign keys. So in the table, relationship table, you add all these primary keys and make them as the foreign keys, referring to those. Now, so what is the final participation for N-ary relationship? New separate tables and not null, because they become the primary key, right? All the primary keys of this acting as the foreign keys in new relational table for relationship table. So they will be acting as the primary keys and then foreign keys referring to these entities. That is the meaning. So they cannot be null. Obviously, primary keys cannot be null. Now, only condition here is, this important thing, when an entity has one constraint, that is one on that side entity set, it becomes functionally dependent on others. So its key is excluded from the composite primary key. So if you see one, then you have to remove that key from this primary key of the new relationship table. Okay, I'll tell you the example. So let us say there are three entity sets here: supplier, parts, and project. Now if you observe, all are n is to m is to p. Okay, many to many. So you don't have a problem. If there is one on other side, then you should exclude that. So supplier, a supply ID as primary key. Then he has name. Then you have part part ID is the primary key. Then part name is the attribute. Then we have project ID is the primary key, and then budget. So these are strong entities. So based on our rule 1, you have created all these three. Now for N-ary relationship, so you have to create a new table for the relationship. Okay, so this supplies is the new table. In this, what they say is supply ID, comma, part ID, and then PID. All the primary keys of these tables which are participating in that relationship should act as the primary key here, and they are referring to this as the foreign keys. And then you have your own descriptive, that is quantity. Okay. So this acts as the foreign keys and cannot be null. So anyway, they are referring to the primary keys here. So they all together cannot be null. So not null. This applies only when there is no one. Okay, constraint one is involved. One is involved, what to do? You should not include the primary key of that entity set on which the one is present. Okay, cardinality one is present. For example, here, same example. So have supplier. Will create a new table for supplier as a strong entity set. Okay, then I have part as part ID. Then I have project, which contains project ID as the key. Okay. So these are the keys. I have ignored other attributes for simplicity. There are other attributes, just add them like previous example. Now supplies here, what they say is supply ID can be included and it acts as a primary key because there is no one here. So one is on this side, so you cannot consider this value. Then I can have part ID. Okay. So make it as a primary key. Then include project ID. But this is not part of the primary key because of this constraint 1. So this is referring to this, and this is referring to this. Why it cannot be primary key? Because if I make it primary key, it becomes unique. Okay. So here it is n is to 1, m is to 1. Okay. That is the reason. So if I add underline here, that is primary. If I make it primary key, then I cannot store some of the supplier and parts in the table because it requires the entire key to be unique. Right? It becomes entire primary key. So I cannot store some of the parts and supplier because they are many to one here. So on this side, you just don't make it a primary key, part of the primary key. In the next video, we'll solve more examples on all the 10 rules with different entities, sets and relationships. Okay. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe.